Your name, age, and sport.
Okay, my name is Mikhail Sametz. I'm 21 and my sport is paracycling, which is cycling.
Awesome, great. How old were you when you first took up the sport?
I was 12 when I started cycling and 15 when I began racing.
Very cool. And what made you gain interest in this sport?
I guess it was just the curiosity of not knowing the sport. I didn't know anything about it at the time, and also it allows me to be outdoors, explore.
Very great. What has your experience been like competing within Canada and abroad?
It's been something. It's been pretty cool. You get to, especially abroad, you get to see all the different cultures and all the different type of people, and in Canada, it's cool.
Great. What has been the most difficult competition you've been in, just in terms of the culture and all the different elements that were there when you were racing?
Most difficult? Well, I would say the Paralympics in Rio would be the highest pressure around everything. Everybody's in the village, everybody's very tense before the races, and it's very high pressure to perform, so I would say that.
Great. What do you find the importance of sports in Canada is like, and how high profile is the Olympics within cycling?
Well, for the importance of sport in Canada, I think it keeps people healthy and active, and which is important for quality of life, and for the importance of the cycling.
Yeah, like what do you find is the importance of cycling in Canada? Like, is it pretty high profile like Quebec and Eastern Canada? Like, what do you find?
It's a relatively competitive field for how big the province is. It's got a good interest.
Great. Sport. Awesome. Do you find there's a very high public knowledge of Olympic sports in Canada and national sports?
I would say so, yes.
Great. As a student, I know you've been in the university for a while now. How have you been finding balancing school and sport?
Well, it's stressful and hard, but you just got to know, be patient and take your time at each.
Great. What's been your favorite memory or experience as a national athlete?
I would say competing in the Toronto Pan Am Games, where you're on home soil, and just having that home crowd behind you for the whole games was really special.
Great. And what was it like medaling at Rio?
It was something, that's for sure.
It was something.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, let's give a big round of applause to Mike. I'm just kidding. We'll cut that part out. Thanks, Mike. What is your name, age, and sport?
My name is Mikhail Choi. I'm 25 years old and I competed in the sport of...
How old were you when you took up speed skating?
I started speed skating at the age of 8 years old.
What led to your interest in it?
I started off playing hockey like average Canadian kids, and one day at the skating rink I played hockey. There was a speed skating club, and it looked fun, and my dad put me into it and just wanted me to try it out.
What has your experience been like competing within Canada and outside of Canada?
Having been a speed skater for over 20 years of my life, I had the privilege to compete both nationally and internationally against Canadian athletes and international athletes. And all I can say is that my experience has been phenomenal, and the journey has been incredible, where it will always be deeply cherished inside my heart.
What is the most difficult competition you've been in?
That's a pretty tricky question, because for me, every competition is different, and whether it's competing nationally or internationally, it's not always the same competitors. So I think it varies from time to time. But if I had to choose one, it would probably be my first ever international competition back in 2010, where I competed in Taipei.
What is the importance of sports in Canada, and how does it bring us together as a nation?
Well, at first, sport is definitely an important aspect in Canada. And taking speed skating as an example, since it's an amateur sport and the Olympics occurring every 4 years, that's when I believe that all Canadians come together and as one nation cheering on their Canadian athletes.
Do you find there's a high public knowledge of your sport?
It depends, but I would say no in general because speed skating being an amateur sport, we don't receive much attention on a daily basis compared to hockey or other professional sports. And in general, we receive more public knowledge and attention every 4 years with the Olympic Games.
As a student, do you find it difficult to balance sport and school?
Definitely. Being a student athlete, it surely does take a lot of dedication, commitment, and sacrifice if you want to excel both in your education and in your sport. And since the schedule of an athlete at a elite level is extremely demanding and tight, I strongly believe that balance is key if you want to succeed in both areas.
What is your favorite memory as a Canadian athlete?
That is quite a difficult question because I have too many good memories since the first day I started speed skating until today. But if I had to choose one specifically, it is definitely going back to 2010 when I was crowned World Junior Short Track Speed Skating Champion in the 500 meter. Not only was it memorable because it was my first international competition ever, but it was the first gold medal for Canada since 1997. And the feeling of standing on top of the podium and with the Canadian flag and the national anthem playing was an unforgettable memory for me.